Hey, what's going on? I'm Daniel, and today we're going to dig into net worth. But first, a few questions for you. Do you know your net worth? Should you know your net worth? Does it even matter? To me, it absolutely matters. If I don't know my net worth, how can I adjust my plans for the medium and long term? How can I gauge how I'm doing with my retirement savings and whether I need to maybe change a few things to achieve my goals? I can't speak for you, but for me, knowing my net worth is non-negotiable to being able to game plan my future. Let's start by defining net worth. It's simply what you own minus what you owe. If you subtract all debts from all assets, what is left over is your net worth. The number quickly summarizes the financial life you've lived. It's a snapshot summary of the decisions you've made up to this point and of all the things that have happened to you that have affected your finances. Nothing more. If you're happy with your number, great. If not, we've got work to do, but the good news is that it's not too late. I have 4 things you can start doing right now to increase your net worth. And stick around until the end and I'll let you know where you fall according to the Federal Reserve's most recent survey. Okay, now here are 4 things we can do to increase our net worth. Number 1 is figure out what our net worth is. It can be simple with a pen and paper and a T column. You can use Excel if you nerd out like me and love spreadsheets. Otherwise, you can use Mint or Personal Capital. They both have free versions where you can connect your different accounts and see summaries of where you stand. Seeing everything together in one place is so helpful in getting a full, clear picture. For me, this caused a switch to go off in my mind where I automatically started to explore ways to cause this number to go up. There's just something about being able to see it that motivates me to stomp on the gas. The advantage of Excel or an online vendor is that it allows you to track things year over year with only a small amount of effort. We don't need to do it daily, weekly, or even monthly. Once or twice a year is fine. It's also a great way to insulate ourselves from the noise of the media. When the media says the sky is falling, but you're paying down your debts, saving for retirement, and your home value is holding steady, are we really that worried about a slight market drawback? Number 2 is get your cash flow dialed in. It's difficult to create a ton of margin in your life if you spend everything you make. Lifestyle creep is a real thing. As we make money, there are billions of dollars in advertising being spent trying to convince us to spend it. It's tempting to finance our life with payments of $100 to $200 a month, but if we can build up the muscle in our mind that asks ourselves if something is a need versus a want, and increase the number of times that we delay gratification, we may find that we are more content with less. I know that I had to really build up the delayed gratification muscle and to conquer myself. Every decision, especially the big ones, have a compounding effect on our monthly discretionary spending. When we buy something we really want, our brain releases dopamine, giving us a temporary pleasure. But that pleasure will soon fade and you'll want to do it again. I know that the buy now option in Amazon is hard to refuse. I have benefited from having a healthy margin in my financial life, and if you don't have it, I want to encourage you to pursue it. Number 3 is to pay off all your debts except your home. I'm a big believer in showing proof, so I'm going to show you a chart from my old Mint account where I was working like crazy in my 20s to pay off all my debts. Some of the accounts are no longer linked, so the chart isn't as accurate as it used to be, but it's a good illustration. The reality is that it was even more extreme than this chart shows. This included cars, student loans, and a few small credit cards. It was over $100,000 in debt. Notice how the liabilities in red are getting smaller and smaller. Every bar represents a month, and every month I paid aggressively towards my debts. At the same time, my home was increasing in value. I was contributing to my 401k and getting an employer match. This resulted in some increase in assets, but they weren't explosive. The most dramatic and consistent increases in my net worth were the result of me just being laser focused on paying off my debts. I'm just an average guy with an average life, but with extreme, intense focus. Anyone can duplicate this. Number 4 is to load up your savings. I have another video that talks about the importance of savings and emergency funds. Beyond that, there are Roth IRAs, 401ks, and after-tax brokerage accounts, along with savings vehicles such as HSAs. Historically, a good rule of thumb was to set aside about 10% of our gross income going into retirement. But that was with the assumption of a pension and Social Security being a common part of the equation. If you Google it, the first article that came up for me recommended 10 to 15% from TIAA. I think this is a great place to start, but I would encourage you to aspire to more. Dave Ramsey is famous for his baby steps, with baby step 4 being to invest 15% of your gross income into retirement. But he's not alone. T. Rowe Price also recommends 15%. There are some financial advisors that now recommend 20 to 25% of your gross income, and the FIRE movement has some people investing up to 50% or sometimes more. I invest 25% of my gross income into retirement, and I'm always looking for a way to maximize even more. But it hasn't always been the case, especially when I was focused on getting out of debt. I don't have a pension, and I don't have much confidence in Social Security being solvent by the time I'm eligible. You will have to figure out what's right for you. This is absolutely going to help you increase your net worth. Real quick, you deserve the absolute best content possible. If you feel I've earned it, hit that like button for me so I can get some real-time feedback on this content. Thank you. Now I'll show you some data from the Federal Reserve. I've converted their information into a graph to make it a better visual for you. I'll show you both the average and the median, but they both share valuable insight. The average, which is in blue, is going to skew higher because those with the higher net worth are pulling that number upwards. If you take the exact midpoint of all the data surveyed, that is the median. If you're less than 35 years old, the average net worth was $76,000 and the median was $14,000. The next age group is 35 to 44 years old. This group saw a significant jump, growing 6 times the previous group to an average of about $436,000 and a median of a little over $90,000. The next age range is 45 to 54 years old, and for this group, it nearly doubles again, with the average increasing to over $830,000 and the median growing to nearly $170,000. Notice how the increase has continued, but it's starting to slow. The age group of 55 to 64 sees an increase where the average crosses over into the $1 million mark at nearly 1.2 million as the average, and the median is a bit over 200,000. We hit the retirement age of 65 to 74 and we're leveling off at just over 1.2 million at the average and over 260,000 as the median. The last age group is 75 or more, and you can start to see the decline where the retirees are starting to decumulate their wealth. We dip just below 1 million as the average and the median drops down to about 250,000. Okay, so what are our takeaways here? I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is the importance of starting out early. The first 2 decades of your working life are pivotal to the next 2 decades from a financial perspective. All right, folks, that's it for today. I hope you found this interesting. If you like what you saw, click on the links somewhere on the screen for more videos. Later.